Okay, so how's everybody doing? I gotta move the camera up. There's a bunch of stuff I gotta do to get this going. So we're back in business. There's me. There's the screen. Now I gotta change some levels here so I'm not too hot. And then we gotta update the title of our stream. Let's see. Update titles. Gaming. No, this is church services and religion. Huh. That's interesting. All right. So other, is it, how do I do, it's not gaming, podcast and talk show, science and technology. Is that what it is? How do I do what I'm doing? Software and development. Okay, that's what I thought. I can't find it though. Give me a second. I'm going to bring this over here so you guys can see what I'm struggling with. I'm using Restream, so it's not here. Other? No. Software, music and art. Maybe if I change this. Take us to church. Take me to church. Okay, software and game development. There we go. And then this is going to be where today. Okay, so I was thinking about what am I doing today for the game, and I know what I'm working on today. So we're going to be doing cursor stuff. FF tactics RPG game. Okay. So the title of our stream is updated. Let me get this out of here. Cursing stuff. That's what it's going to be this whole time. That is what it's going to be. Exactly like that. And let me get my headset on. So, really quick, right after church. All right, let me, I'll practice. I'm going to do my best sermon here. I'm going to lose people if I do this. I'll get somebody upset, so I should be careful. So I was out getting groceries for the wife the other day, and the line was really long, and I was getting really upset, and I can't do it. All right, I can't do it. Oops, here's the chat. So let's get this over here, and we're going to go here and close that out. Cancel. Okay, we're almost all set. Not a bad turnover to go from that to this. I'm getting my streaming situation pretty well in order. Should I open up the lines too? Let's just change the format of what I've been doing. Should I open up the lines? Let me know. This is the power hour, the streaming power hour. Godot. That's church for the day now code. Vector 2. What I want is I want a Chiron for the stream. Let me just do a quick check. OBS. Chiron. Is that how you spell it? Is it Chiron? Is it Chiron? 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 How do you spell Chiron? The little bottom lower thirds thing. News. Chiron. What is it called? Is that it? OBS. Scrolling text. Let's see. TeamSpeak. It's the lower thirds like news ticker thing. Like if you're watching, you know, like CNN Money or something, it's like, oh, everything's crashing. And then it's just scrolling at the bottom. That would be fun to have people be able to add stuff to it. It's called like a Chiron or something. News lower thirds. Okay, so how about OBS lower thirds? Animated lower thirds. Okay. Here we go. Features include dynamic content to streaming app with browser support, 4 different lower thirds at the same time. So this is something that can pop up. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Chiron. I swear that's what it's called, but I don't know how to spell it. Yeah. So is there an OBS Chiron? Is it plug in like Chiron virtual placement? Well, I'll look into it a bit more. Let's get to work. So yesterday I was having a little bit of a mental meltdown. My brain was not firing at all cylinders either. But and I'm not hearing you guys. So let me fix that too. Oh, it's this. I should be able to hear you now. Yeah, okay. Okay, so here's what I thought about with what it is I'm trying to do. We're gonna have a highlighting mesh, and then slightly above that is going to be where the cursor exists. So that's what we're going to be doing here. Is we're going to get it so that we have 2 layers, one for the cursor itself, and then one for whatever highlighting we do. So they'll exist in 2 separate spaces. So I may as well rip out everything that I was talking about ripping out yesterday and moving it to where it really makes the most sense. So we have the stage here, and this is starting to grow into something. And tactics is where, okay, so the grid, okay. So this is going to exist in stage grid map. So maybe this should be moved into here. And then here. Markiplier. Yeah. I'm Markiplier's brother. His older brother. Matiplier. It's only a dual piston. Yeah, and I forget to oil my brain every once in a while, so we get overheated and then have to Matiplier. It's nice to meet you. All right. So let's just make sure I didn't break everything just now. Let's go here, and we're going to pick our characters. Apparently, it says you've been in my chat already. Seats? Is it Seats 420? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Okay, so that's good. And then that, okay, I didn't select that though, so okay. Let's reload and we'll choose that and go like this. And choose move. Okay, so that's working. And then camera rotation. Okay, so we got everything. Camera rotation is back. My wife got me this. I'm going to sidetrack real quick. My wife got me this. Is it Sid Meier? Sid Meier? Is that how you say it? His memoir. And I feel kind of bad because it's signed. It was at our Barnes and Noble, but so far it is a memoir. It's not really based on. It's not really in the technical space of game dev. So far, from what I've been reading, because that's my bread and butter. That's what I'm always looking for. Okay, so we've got this grid map code here, and this is where we're taking out things that we had in our game singleton, and we're starting to put it into the stage grid map. Donaldi, how are you today? Let me just see. We're getting kind of a full house now. Is it SI Eats? I don't know. It's got to be it's a kid. It's a reference to something. I don't know. But anyways, welcome to the stream. I'm curious what brings you here. I'm always curious what brings anyone to this, frankly. What is wrong with you? That's my immediate thought. So we're going to have a highlights dictionary, and then we're also going to have the cursor dictionary. And they're functionally the same thing. What we'll do is when we build out this highlight array, so we update the highlight array. Add child highlight. Spatial visible false. Add child highlight. Highlights position. Get use cell. This could use some work, this code here. Because as far as I can tell, this is repeated quite a few times. Not enough time in the day to say what's wrong with me. I'm sure some of it, they don't even have a term for it yet. It says poo eater. Poo Peter. God, I keep... I fell into that perfectly. Poo Peter. Poo Peter. Poo Peter. Poo Peter. Okay. Let's see. I am not liking this the more I look at this. I think this could be done a lot cleaner. Okay, so the point of this is to travel downwards. Okay, fine. So then what I'll do is I'm just going to cheapen out Let's see if we're doing highlight and then all this stuff happens to it. We're changing the material. And then we're adding that mesh and all that stuff to it. I found you through my brother. I found the thought process behind coding interesting. Yeah. I agree. I'd like to say there's some thought process going on here right now. I mean, the most that I'm establishing right now is I'm going to right now build out 2 sets of things that I can turn on and off. One is called highlights and one is called cursor. And these are these light meshes, these little, they're slightly above the top layer of this grid map for the stage. And the cursor is going to be slightly above the mesh for the highlight. Eventually it probably won't be like that. But this way, given what I have, I can quickly is relative, but I can move the cursor around and not have to do a bunch of flip-flopping of things for the cursor and the highlight mesh. And like have to remember, okay, the cursor's left this spot. Now flip it back so it's a different color for the highlight or whatever. So the 2 won't ever like cross. We're not going to cross the streams, as it were. That's the thinking. I'm just not sure about this right now. But this stuff here is someone else's code. So when I'm looking at it, my eyes start to cross because I didn't write it. And it's doing a bunch of stuff with vertices where I'm like, oh no, vertices, that scares me. Okay, but when we load in, we set the grid map here. When we choose move, that comes from combat control here. And then this creates the menu item. And then when it's pressed, we send over to our grid map to draw the highlights as such. Okay. So now we could do a bit of rewriting. So I'm going to start to rewrite this thing. No. Somebody was like, hey, I've already done this as far as the creating like a mesh above the grid map. So he shared my code with me. I slapped it in and now I'm like, or shared that code with me. And so now I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to kind of make it my own and do it in the way that I need it. Because his system and his whole game is entirely different from mine. So this is really, in the whole thing that I've done, this is his. Colin, he's been really helpful, like pointing me in the right direction. He's done a lot of tactical games before. And the rest of the stuff is mine. Eventually there is a light scripting tool that somebody had written that I'm going to be using as well for handling dialogue and automated camera movements and things like that. So this code determines when you're pressing your inputs based on the direction that the camera is facing, what way the cursor should move. Because when you rotate the camera, the world isn't being rotated, the camera is, and so the cursor inputs have to be changed to address the direction the player would expect them to move, so that you're not like, it's not locked to one set of axes or whatever. It moves with the camera basically. So that's what this is doing. Okay, so let's see. We're building the highlight here. We're adding it to the scene. And then we're setting this new highlight position. And do we ever set the highlight position again? So the way that he wrote this, it's building it for every single possible height. Yeah. And let me double check to make sure this doesn't occur anywhere else. Okay, so first thing I can do to make this make more sense to me is this instantiation and everything can happen down below, down here. So this can, because this is all the same stuff. This is right here. And then what we can do is we can say, let's add the child at the end. That makes the most sense instead of like in the middle of all this. And then we'll update our highlights array thusly. And then all we need to do is kind of repeat this exact same thing one more time. For now, this is not, again, this is not how I'm going to want to do this going forward. But so we'll call this one cursor. And we'll roll through like this. And then and instead of new highlight position, why don't we just call it new position? Okay. So a little bit of refactor here. So light refactoring, just a little blush around the edges here. Cursor, and then this is, to be sure, it is called cursor. Okay. Okay. Yes. I don't, here's what I will say. I don't like any of it. I'm not feeling good about it. Like, I need to massage this more. I'm not feeling good about it. For sure. Okay, so now when this update highlight array runs, which happens when we set the grid map, so update sure. We'll call it that. Okay, so did I break anything? Let's find out. Because of the vertices? No. No, that's just scary math stuff. That's no biggie. Not in the grander scheme of things. No, it's more that okay, so nothing's broken. So it feels like I should set it up so that I build the mesh when I need it. Not that I have it always there. Because likely in the game, I'm going to have things that allow the player to physically change the heights of the world. And so when I want to draw those things, I should call it on the fly and not have it be in this like cached way that I'm doing it right now. And again, I'm just not confident about where I'm putting it, where it exists in the hierarchy of everything. Yeah. And I feel like, I think the other thing that I'm noticing when I look at the code here is that we're creating for every possible cell. So let me show you. So if I go to, so this stage here, this is the stage that that I'm showing on it. Right now we only have one floor, like one level to it, but we could draw more. So if we went here and we chose the second floor, and then we could put some blocks on the second floor here, right? So what the loop is doing, that's creating this mesh that I'm making invisible when it's first created, so I can flip it on and off on the different cell positions. What it's doing though is, in the case of, this is actually floating. So in this game, there is only one. Is this? No, that's floor 0. Here we go, floor 1. Okay. So I'll make this is like a wall here. Okay, so if we had this like wall type thing here, it's making, even underneath this one, so these 2 blocks here, it's making a mesh for that the highlight as well underneath this one. So it's not doing just the top level, I don't believe. And so that's waste. That doesn't need to be like that, because in this game, you could think of the map as this. It's going to be 3D to the player. Movement will be determined based on 3D like restrictions on how high an enemy can travel and all that kind of stuff, or the player characters or whatever. But in the grand scheme of thing, this is actually what is going to be determining, like what the AI sees is a flat 2-dimensional space, not the 3-dimensional. So it's going to be like it's going to look at the world like this. So it's like, yeah. So I don't need them underneath. And, anyways, so yeah. But every once in a while, there may be, the enemy may come in and, like we may have a geomancer that comes in and raises the height of the world. Because I was talking to my friend and I'm like, what can we do to make this tactical stuff different that we haven't really seen in other games? And one thing we were talking about was, well, what if the world changed a lot more dynamically? So you could have, like, if it was a plane, you could flood the battlefield, and that would change the different magics or whatever we have in the game can then affect, there's water there now, so now that does something to an ability or something like that. Or now the players inside that area are encumbered in some way. Their movement is hindered. That kind of thing. So it's an idea that we have, and it's definitely something we'll probably pursue. So that's in the back of my mind as well. But I don't know. I don't know what to call it, but sometimes when I'm looking at code, I just instinctually I'm like, something about this is not right. It's like I get a sense about it, and I'm like, this isn't good. I know it's like when you don't pick the weeds in a garden enough, and you know that you're just making work for yourself next season because now you're going to have even more weeds next year. It feels like that a little bit. But it's like for me, it's like a juggle of, okay, well, that's okay because I need to work on this other, like winter's coming and I got to get this other stuff done first kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. That's future Matt's problem. Okay, so now in theory we have 2 meshes. One's for the cursor and one is for the highlight. The thing that we need to do here is, so we're bumping it up slightly. Let's see. But this isn't the Y position. So what is this doing? It's taking the cursor position and it's shifting the X and the Z axis. Huh. So I think this is the one that's going to be, so if we go a 10th higher, now the cursor's slightly over the highlight. And so now we've got this move cursor function that I put here. My hope is eventually to tween an animation, and that's an even more complicated thing. I would like to tween the cursor animation eventually, and that's actually kind of blew my mind. I was thinking about it when I was doing dishes yesterday. But like in the case of this, to smoothly animate the cursor moving between one grid space here and to this one, I might actually want to do it. I don't know. I think I can get away with it with a shader. But again, that's like, again, I'm not a shader guy either. So it's a new space for me to enter and work on. But it would make sense to me if we're doing cursor movement and we're trying to tween it. And obviously we can't like, I don't know. We can't have it like float up here or anything like that. So the way I was thinking about doing it was, well, if I had two meshes here and I animate that if we're going, let's say we're going up to this block here from this one, we would start to remove the mesh here, and then it starts to like draw it out here on a separate mesh at the same time to create for the player to create the appearance that it's sliding over. But it's really two separate meshes. One's just being like animated away and the other one's being animated in. But to the player, it creates the sensation that the cursor is moving. Because in most of these games, the cursor just snaps to the next spot, which also, I might do a ton of work to do that and then immediately be like, oh, that's why nobody ever does this, because it doesn't feel right. But until I try it, I wouldn't know. A lot of time when I look at code, it looks complicated than it needs to be for simple functions, but I'm not a coder. The opposite can be true too. For instance, yesterday I wrote a flood fill algorithm, and that was to determine the here's an example. So this is a representation of like a 2D space for the map. In actuality, it's just Boolean whether or not you can move to a space or not, but it is based on heights and things like that. But this algorithm here, whoops, let me load just the scene. This one here, if our starting position is here, what the algorithm does is it goes through and it tries, it counts the steps out from this position in cardinal directions, and then it keeps track of it. We have a caps movement of 5 in this example, and so it figures out every possible space that the player could move to, if they could move 5 spaces. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they could reach here, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they could reach here. And so this is what I would consider. It seems complicated, and but it was only 30 lines of code to do this roughly. Actually, it was a bit less than that. But that was here. So we have the while loop here, and I was testing things out in here. But altogether, this is the lines of code that does that. So in this case, it's an example of like some complexity that you can get out of recursion and stuff. So then the code looks kind of simple, but it does a lot. And then sometimes you need to do something simple, and in order to make that thing simple to the person on the other end of things, the code is actually quite complex. Yeah, here's the algorithm in 3D space. So I kind of cleaned it up a bit more, but this is the same one right here for 3D. And I'll need to add a check here in this one to determine the jump height that the player can do, that character can do. And so it'll determine whether, for each step, it'll check, can I jump to the next one, basically, or jump down to the lower one. And so that'll be in this if statement to be able to do that. So it's not actually a lot of work to have that in it, because you would just check the y-axis in this if statement here. Anyways, oh no, Fallen Ear, how's it going? I'm so worried I'm going to say it wrong. Okay, so we've got our two grids. We've got our cursor one. So now let's translate our cursor movement over to the cursor here. And one other thing we can do is, So we're creating an instance of this highlight, right? And so highlight is this scene somewhere. Where is highlight? Let's go up and find out. It's in stage. So highlight. So this is our this is actually the highlight here. And let's see, how am I giving it its color? Color is yellow. Highlight material. Albedo color. Albedo. Yeah, so this code here is taking the top level, the vertices at the top of the mesh, of the square mesh, and it's removing all the other stuff, and it's creating another mesh that's just the top vertices, and that's how we're getting the cursor stuff going. But I'm seeing that the material is added. So this is where the color. So can I do like red? And is this going to do what I think it's going to do? Oh no, that's not for the game though. See, I'm in the middle of taking this code out of something else. It's lying to me. Where's that singleton game? I've been watching the videos from the guy, the Kirby guy. Okay, so that does change it. You can actually see some of the bleeding a little bit from its height. So if I bring this down, can I just go a little bit over? Is that what this is? Let's see. Yeah. Oh, okay. So this is the offset here. Shoot. So we're going to get some like zebra stripes because they're at the same level right now. Yeah, I really need to set this up so that I can call it. And then do the loop outside of this. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. I promise. I am making a game, I swear. Promise I'm making a game. Okay, so that's because it's half the... Okay. Okay, so we've got this move cursor, and what we can do here is give it the direction that we want to move in. So we're going to use an enumerator from vector 3. So we've got, oh, but you know what? It has to be relative to camera position. So let's see. So we already have this technically, but it's a getter. Okay, hang on. Okay, so that's not on. So we're using it strictly an unhandled input. Okay, so if I turn this off, we won't be able to technically move the cursor. And we're in it. And okay, so let's take this and we'll use this to set the cursor position. So we're going to keep this new function that I have here. And okay. So we're returning, the difference will be that instead of returning the cursor, we're actually just going to move it. And we already have that. From the old code. Set starting positions, set cursor positions. So this is what I'm talking about. Update. These are public. Okay, so we can keep this here then. Set cursor position, values of x3. So then down here, we say set cursor position, cursor position. I always end up doing that. Okay, so now if I were to give it a direction, see, but we're returning. So it breaks here. So this is after for loop. So this will always fire now no matter what because we're not using return anymore. Pooh Peter says, a lot of time when I look at code, yeah. We talked about that already. Yeah, I mean, I personally, I guess we could just use this. So if we did, it would be as simple as, so that's why the setter was there. Okay. So we'll do self cursor position for it. And that's still the same, right? Cursor position. Okay. Self cursor position equals get next cursor position for direction. So now if all we got to do now, are you going to rewrite most of your mesh code? Not, I guess restructure. I don't know. It's the problem with it right now is it's building a bunch of meshes and then it's just storing them. So it's a mesh for every possible surface, like for the highlighting, right? And it's just sitting there in memory. And I'm not familiar with like how much that eats up away at that kind of stuff, but like I said, it should probably be built on the fly. So eventually that's what we're going to do, is build it on the fly. Okay, so now we have, so these are the directions for up, down, left, right. So it's back, forward. Yeah, for sure. And like, I'm sensitive to the frame rate. I start to see certain things change. I've just been getting used to using the debugger in the sense of like looking for like actually I think Godot's debugger is pretty good. If we run it here real quick, and I just get into this, give me a second here. We'll get some stuff on here and then get into the stage. So I'm noticing it's choppy as all hell right now here, and I don't know if it's because I'm streaming or not. But the debugger profile, there's the profiler and then there's the monitors here. And so we can like get the FPS up here. It looks smooth to you? Huh. You get your eyes checked. I'm kidding. I don't know why I say the profiler works great and then I'm not seeing anything in any of the processes right now. Which is really weird. Looks into my own eyes. Profiler. I don't know why it's not running right now. I'm talking about how good it is, and now I've literally never seen this happen, but I'm not seeing anything actively running. Anyways, this is where you can see the number of objects that you've instantiated, what's in the memory. You can check for frame hitches here, and like when draw calls are happening, you can track those, and all that kind of stuff, and like how much is in your video memory, and anyways, I don't know why it's not showing anything right now though. It's like literally not showing. And actually the debugger, it's not acting like it's running the game here. Oh, the connection is taken. Is that because I have this here? Can I disconnect? Do I have to run the debugger here? Anyways, I'll run it here. So I can run it inside of VS Code as well, but it's not nearly as some stuff is easier to see, like the active scene tree that's being built is actually easier to see. But then other stuff, not so much, like what I was trying to show, the profiler, and the monitor stuff here. Anyways, I'm talking about that, and then it's not working for me. That's real funny. But I've only had to do a few, like in the games that I've made, there's only been once or twice that I've had to do any optimizations for frame rate so far. And that was, I was running an algorithm to check if certain turns were available, and I had to optimize that a bit by caching some of the steps, some of the things that it checked, so that it knew that those things hadn't changed, and therefore it didn't need to check them. And then that just fixed the problem, because it was checking, it was a puzzle game. It was checking the entire board every single time you did a move to see if the board was still solvable. But it was real expensive. It was real sloppily written. So I had two choices. I mean, I could set it on a thread, but I haven't really done any thread programming before either. So that it doesn't like, of course it's not working. I don't know why this is going on. I'm not on 4 right now, so I shouldn't be getting any of those kinds of weirdness. I'm just going to, you know what? I'm getting distracted. All right. Let's see. Okay, so now we're passing the move cursor stuff here to the grid map. So that's calling here. And that's hitting this, and it's updating the cursor position, which fires the setter for it, that then flips which mesh to turn off and turn on to create the illusion that, you know, I know what I'm doing. And then we accept the event so it doesn't travel outwards into more of Godot, and we're not accidentally having other things happen. Yeah, I'm not going to do 4 until 4.1. I find with open source stuff, it's early adoption's not a good idea. Oh, you're going with Obsidian suggestion. Yeah, I was already doing that already. But yeah, as far as, are you talking about the separate control things? Because I really liked his idea with that. Because yeah, that I wasn't doing, and that for sure I like that. Especially because I didn't know if it's not visible. Yeah, if it's not visible in the scene tree, then the input events won't fire. So that's really nice. But what I've learned recently, something I didn't realize, is when you're doing inputs in Godot, if you're taking controller inputs or keyboard inputs and it's to do like player actions, then you really should use unhandled input. A lot of tutorials show you using input, and I think that's a really bad practice because input comes before anything, then GUI input, then unhandled input. If you accept an input event in GUI input here and you say accept event, then it's not going to travel down or up to unhandled input, right? And so you want unhandled input to be after, you want your player inputs to be after the GUI inputs. Because in theory, most games, you want, when the GUI inputs are being collected, you want those to be before the player actions, right? Because a menu is up right now, and now the player's thumbing through the menu with a D-pad or whatever. You don't want those D-pad events to translate to player movement, right? So then you take it in GUI input and you accept that event, and now it's not going to travel down into the player actions on the screen. But yeah, I would encourage you to just get in the habit of, for player inputs, for controlling elements on the screen that the player is controlling, that are not GUI, to use unhandled input. Avoid using input. Input to me seems like something you want to put in place for like a hidden debugger or any sort of like secret code thing that you want to override any other inputs at any given moment. So if you want to bring up a console or something like that you have hidden, but you want it to be like a series of keyboard inputs or whatever, then you could put that on the input event, and that would always get collected before anything else. And then the other thing I didn't know about is this whole accept event thing where you're basically saying, I got this. Like, nobody else, don't worry about this. I got this. So that stuff, that was all new to me. Like, I started doing GUI stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, how do I stop because I had camera rotation and selecting the character on the same thing, and the camera would rotate every time I would be selecting a character. I'm like, that's not, how do I stop this from going out elsewhere? So, but I do really like the way the Godot handles inputs, because it's so easy to just, like right here, it's so easy to add a named input event and then put what devices and what buttons are that thing. And that, as far as I can tell with the way that Unity does it and other engines do it, that can be really a pain in the butt. So I really like the way that Godot does it. All right. Okay, so I don't know if this is going to work right away. But let's turn off. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to get rid of this stuff here for now. So now I'm turning this off on my game singleton. I'm starting to move all this over to what I'm calling the stage grid map. And again, these names, I'm not sure that I like. I don't know. Making escape a pause, the scene tree to pull up the menu, etc. Yeah. Yeah, well, and actually, it would make sense to use input to call up the GUI, right? Like, so if you collect a button press on input to bring the GUI up, that might be a good idea. Like, whatever that action would be, that input event is, that might be a good idea. But then you might run into issues where, because it's before GUI and you keep pressing it, then that would do something you wouldn't expect. So no, you'd still want it to be on unhandled input to bring the GUI up, if that's how you're going to do it. Yeah. If it wasn't like popping up on the, like something in the game world making the GUI pop up on the player and the player's calling it up, then yeah, you would still do it with unhandled input. At least I would think that would be how I would do it. What's your background in game dev? It sounds like, so you're new to Godot, but you've made games before, right? Okay, so we're trying to move. No, this is my first game. Oh, wow. Okay. How long have you been working on it? Let's make sure we're going to print. Oh, I know why this is happening. Because it's not visible. Oh, that's nice. I started an alpha of this game last summer. Picked it back up in April. Oh, nice. Yeah, I was... yeah, I wish I had done... I mean, I programmed for... on and off most of my life, but not any game stuff until very recently. And I feel like I developed all of the worst habits you could possibly develop. I got some really bad advice from some people in the past, and I always wanted to do programming. Finally pulled the trigger last year. Nice. Oh yeah, so we're looking at the stage here. So yeah, right now cursor control is not visible. And then when we... Okay, so then what we're doing here is when we select move in the menu, we're setting combat control here to not be visible. So now we're no longer... it won't be responding to anything. But we need to set... as far as inputs are concerned. But we need to set cursor control to be visible. So this is also, I'm not liking how I'm starting to do this, because we need to make sure that the way this stuff gets handed off, like that there's, I feel like it needs to be controlled in some way. And I don't like this pattern of like, in some disparate spot in the code, I'm flipping this one visible and making this one not, and all this stuff. It's like, what I need to do is be able to say, this is the active one now, and then everything, it just handles like, to set something active or whatever. And then that's what handles making things visible or not visible. And then maybe that could be where we animate, if we're going to animate the menus changing, that could be where that happens. That's like what I'm in my mind is what I'm thinking. Okay, so let's let me just make sure that we're hitting this GUI input when this happens. Because now what we're doing is we're making this one visible, but it's not technically a real UI thing that's moving on the screen. So this is where it's a little weird for me. Like I'm in uncharted territory here. Okay, so we're still not seeing... Okay, let's check the scene tree. What is going on here? Because we're not connected. Like, I should be seeing the scene tree here. The game is running. I'm going to reload the project real quick. Something is weird. What the heck? What is going on here? All right, let me close VS Code. And I'll completely close Godot. And we'll reopen it. Something weird is going on. I had some weirdness yesterday, though. This kind of stuff freaks me out when all of a sudden you have like... Okay. What is going on? Let's see here. We'll go to editor settings and let's look at debug. Auto switch to remote scene tree. Oh, that's nice. I didn't know that. Yes, please. We'll do that. So that's cool. I feel like that should just be what happens. I didn't know you could do that. Okay. Well, that's nice, but that's still not going to... Doesn't make me feel like I know why this is happening. So I have an external editor. Window placement. A nice thing too is right here you can search for like things, and then it'll lower. That's something I didn't know about as well. So what kind of game was it you were working on? You're doing something tactical too, right? Window placement, debug, network debug. So this was on the wrong port. So maybe, or not on the default port. Turn-based. Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, cool. So that's like a good streamer game, huh? Do you already have the like Twitch integration going for getting chat commands and stuff? Language server. So what's the difference between the debug remote port and the language server remote port? That's strange. There we go. Okay, so they were stepping on each other's toes. That's what was going on. That's what was going on. So the debug remote port was sharing the same port as the language server, the thing that would be like linter on VS Code, and that was causing it to they were clashing with each other, I'm guessing, because now we got the debugging back on. Yeah, so that was me yesterday trying to fix something. I broke it and I didn't realize it. Okay, so now this is broken over here. No, we connected fine. Oh, okay. Well, fine. We're good. I don't know. All right. Yeah, I already have the Twitch integration working. Man, and you're just starting coding? Really? That's pretty good. Because that's some complicated stuff. Have you worked in web at all? Have you done anything in like web space? Because that's tough stuff to translate into two worlds, is like the web API stuff and into the game stuff. That's not easy stuff. Well, I mean, that's a good sign. I'm a factory mechanic. Oh, nice. Have you done any like CAD programming or anything? Like the robot arm? Did you do the robot arm? I did that in high school. No, that was middle school actually. We programmed you had to like program this robot arm and have it perform all these tasks and stuff. Yeah, well, no, I'm gonna stroke your ego right now, but it definitely. I mean, for how little you've done, you've got a mind for it for sure. I turn wrenches. Not for long, buddy. Unless, I mean, you know, I like doing that kind of stuff too, though. Not that, but like, you know, more of the, like, I like to get my hands dirty and do that kind of stuff, but it's more for my own benefit, like around the house or whatever. But that's because we po. Is it okay if I post a link? Yeah, sure. I'm gonna open up in my Tor browser in case you try to send me some dirty stuff or get my IP. Not that I don't trust you, but I don't trust you. All right, let me copy this link. It's dirty. Is this going to be like those girls, like the girl RPG things? All right, I'm loading it up. My Tor has to connect. Let's give it a second. But it is Steam. All right. Since it's a Steam link, we'll go to it. Wait, have you done YouTube videos about this? I might already, if you're on YouTube, I might be subscribed to you already. Hang on a sec. Let me check. Yeah, I've probably seen it. Because I sort of obsessively, I have Godot bookmark as a window that opens up automatically. And so when anyone makes a video for Godot, is this you? Yeah, this is you. I'm going to subscribe. I'll subscribe to you. I've seen, I swear I've seen. This is cool. So is the pixel art I can check. Is there a way I can check to see if I played it before? Because I see. Oh, it looks like you had a Kickstarter. Did that go okay? I'll try to catch your stream sometime. Oh, red bar at the bottom. Yeah, you're right. I don't see any. But I don't know that it would have been any of these. Here, I'll just bring my I don't see it that I played any. But yeah, I mean, getting that Twitch stuff going is really good. I'll say. So this is, I have this by default when I open up my Brave browser. I have it just load itch Godot games. It's not going to do it right now, but because I already have it open. Itch Godot games and then searches Godot in YouTube. Just to kind of see what people using it are doing. Yeah, I gotta log in and then I can wishlist that. Steam page is kind of bare right now. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what I was gonna do here is I want to make sure, are we collecting input events here? So now that we've got the debugger finally working again, I'll find out. I'll be able to know because my print statement will be working. So now we should technically be in that space, but now this is nice that it's showing remote right away. Raiders. I'm being raided. Oh, man. How's it going? Mr. Eleptic? How are you? Thank you for the raid. Let's see. So we got combat control. Is there a way if I can check to see if these are visible or not in the tree? Visible on. So cursor control is visible. And combat control is not visible. I am working on a tactical RPG. Right now we're working on movement. We're trying to. I'm ripping off Final Fantasy Tactics. I've shamelessly stolen one of the sprites right now. I've got a ton of stuff that I've worked on for this, but it's like all stuff that I have to glue together. So none of it is like, it doesn't look like a game yet. But I've done so much work. A couple days ago, I got the Floodfill stuff going for figuring out what the movable space would be for what I'm calling an actor on a scene. Where can they move based on, is a spot available and all that kind of stuff. So we got that worked out. I've done a lot of the model. I've built the data models for the player characters and the job classes and the abilities and all that stuff. So that all exists. I've got the battle system stuff going, so I could show some of this stuff in code at least. So that's the test area. So we've got that going. The battle system's in a singleton. That's right. So we got the basic combat order going on here. The enemies, all that stuff. And so now we're trying to get it all working together, where I can test load one of the stages. I can go through some of the characters here, and I can place them on the start of the battle scene here. And now we're trying to work on the movement stuff as we speak. But I've been separating the cursor and the highlight code, and I'm trying to get it into a different spot. And so I'm running into some weirdness there that I've got to figure out what's going on. And I'm also trying to wrap my head around using Godot's control stuff and all that. And so I'm I'm getting all of that going all at once, but I'm about to glue it all together. It's kind of like I've molded the Lego pieces together, and now I'm trying to see if they fit. But what about you? What have you been working on? My God, there's a lot of people here. I don't have any notifications for if I'm getting followed or not. So let me get my thing up. But if you are following me, I appreciate it. A whole bunch. My OBS, I upgraded OBS to the new version and everything broke. And then I had to rebuild all of my streaming menus and stuff, because for some reason it broke everything. It's the first stream since I got fiber optics installed. Nice. I'm on a waiting list for next year. Very nice. Congratulations. I'm actually streaming from T-Mobile 5G hotspot thing. And I finally figured out that they've been throttling me, which is why I've been having so many problems streaming. So I'm cheating by streaming to Restream IO, and then that sends it to Twitch, but they don't know that that's Twitch, so they're not clamping the upload speeds on that. And so I figured out how to kind of trick them so I can get good streaming quality for now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting fiber as well. Try streaming to Restream and see if your ISP doesn't see that traffic or do any like flow control or anything on that traffic, or what do they call it? They call it they throttle it, but there's a name for it. Traffic shaping and stuff like that. Yeah, we're in. It's pretty cheap. They called me and asked me, upgraded for fiber for free. Yeah. I mean, in the States it depends. In the U.S. it depends on where you are, for sure. Unfortunately, a lot of the local governments here tend to clamp down on the internet too much, and so it creates a non-competitive environment, which sucks. But as things start to get more out of those spaces, and you get things like, Starlink and stuff like that, the competition is inevitable. So luckily, those things are starting to change as the tech changes. I was suspicious at first, not gonna lie. Oh, about the free fiber. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I'm paying $50 right now for mine. $50 a month. And it's 300 down and 20 up. It's not that much up, but it's enough for streaming. So long as they don't throttle me. Right? And I do have problems every now and then. When I'm streaming for a while, I'll just lose internet occasionally. But I think that's the device getting too hot or something. But yeah. So you're just chatting and playing some cool demos for the next fest. Yeah. That's pretty cool for stability. Like the speed is not amazing compared to my old coax connection, but it's more stable. Yeah, and I was on a coax as well, but I was paying double the amount in order to not have it be capped. And then when T-Mobile came around, it was like, hey, it's just 50, like no tax. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing that then. And tried it out, and I was like, oh, it works. I'll take it. And then they started to throttle me. I'm like, oh, you got me, you pieces of. But anyways, all right. So what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to see. We're not collecting the input events the way I'd expect it. Oh, and I know why. So what we got to do is not only do we need to make it visible, but in order to collect those input events, we have to tell it. We have to tell it to start collecting those events. We have to make it active, right? So there's something about control to do that with. All right. Have a good night. Thank you for the raid, by the way. I think you've raided me before, and I really appreciate it. So I definitely try to return the favor, but my audience typically is not that large. But have a good night. Okay, so how do we grab focus? That's what it's called. It's called focus. So let's look up focus. Here we go. Godot sends input events to the scene's root node first by calling node input. Node input forwards the event down the node tree to the nodes under the mouse cursor or on the keyboard focus. Keyboard. Oh, that's why we don't want to use control. To do so, it calls a main loop input event, an accept input event, so no other nodes receives the event. Once you accept an input, it becomes handled, so node unhandled input will not process it, right? Only one control node can be in keyboard focus. Only the node in focus will receive keyboard events. To get focus, call grab focus. Control nodes lose focus when another node grabs it. So if you grabs it, if you hide the node in focus. So that's visible. So we need to grab the focus. So maybe if we say, now is grab focus a bool or a function? It's a function. Steal the focus from another control and become the focus control. So if we go like this, let's see. So guys who watch Mr. Epileptic, if you've managed to stick around, appreciate it. Let me see. Some of you still here, I think. What are you guys up to? What are you doing? This is so nice, by the way. I didn't know this. If you guys are familiar with Godot, but you can make the remote seed tree run automatically in the editor settings here. If you go to debugger and then check this box here, it'll auto switch to the remote seed tree when you're running the game, which is actually kind of makes me like, I wonder why it's not the default thing. Whoops. You know what? We need to have a character on the scene if we're going to load it. Okay, so we're going to choose move, and now the other thing should have a focus, and yet we're still not collecting keyboard events. Or what if I type? No? Oh, well now I'm not printing. Good golly, what was I thinking? So we'll bring a character in, start the game, choose move, and now nothing. What about mouse? Nothing. Wait. Mouse motion. The control is... Is it my internet? Am I being crappy right now with my internet? Casper, how's it going? I don't think this is going to work for me. Not unless I actually make the cursor a control. Colin, how's it going? I just got rated by Mr. Epileptic. You might know of the Mr. No, my internet. Oh, that sucks. You should be able to. I think my stream has different bit rates that you could pick, right? Yeah. You can go all the way down to 160p if you want to pretend like you're on dial-up again. So that's okay. Let's look at. Is this something about UI inputs that I'm not understanding here? I mean, these are named UI, but that doesn't matter. So if we go to trying to work on cursor stuff and getting it so we can select a spot for our character to move to. So that's battle staging. We don't care about that right now. We're working on stage. And a suggestion I had received from Obsidian was to use, to kind of put the different menu elements in their own controls and then change which one is visible so that I know only that one is collecting those events and I can keep those logics separate, right? And I like that idea, but my issue is that the one that should be collecting input event stuff is supposed to be collecting those events from controller inputs. But I'm worried that control itself expects keyboard inputs more than anything. So we're going to... And I'm also a little worried about... So we have input here. Pass on modal. Okay. Focus says no. Input. Pass on modal mouse click enables whether input should propagate when you close the control as modal. No, you can use action inputs as well, but it isn't just visible. You need to change. You also need to also change it to be disabled. Otherwise, it'll continue processing the input. Right. So this is what I'm trying to do here. When we choose the move menu, we create the highlight of the area that we want to have the player choose where to move to. Then we set our current menu to not be visible. And then what I'm doing is I'm setting cursor control, this menu here, to be visible. And I'm choosing grab focus because I'm trying to get it to collect the UI inputs. But even with all of that, the only things that I can seem to get is the mouse stuff when I hover over this. And even then, it's only in this little corner here because it's not... There's nothing there. That's the thing that's, I think, is throwing me off with all this. I'm trying to control the cursor element that's essentially this mesh above the grid space. So if I bring this in, I choose this. Oh, but I didn't choose move there, so hang on. No. So right now, if I hover here, you can see in the debugger a little bit of the mouse input. See? But I'm pushing on the keyboard right now, or on the controller right now, and I'm not getting... this print event is only printing events from the mouse. not any of these other actions that I'm doing from the controller. Is something else accepting those inputs before it? No. Right. But see, that's the problem. Because I don't want to do that. I want it to be from the GUI. So that's going to work. I don't doubt it. See, like right now it's doing it. But that's not what I want to have happen. So now I can... But I want it to be in the menu in the sense that it's one of the menus that's doing it. Add a call to GUI input event. But then that's no different than, because input fires before GUI input. I see what you're saying, but I should be able to collect it on GUI. So there's something more here I'm not understanding. Because for instance, let's just let me show you this. There's something here we're not understanding, or I'm not. So I've got battle staging here, and we've got a control here, and this is collecting. GUI input from the controller. The thing that's different though is we've got a bunch of these other elements in here. And so there's something for them to like butt up against, if that makes sense. I've got a control with nothing in it. And I think that's the problem. So if I were to print out an event here, I think what I'm going to need to do is write a custom control element that is the cursor so that it knows that it's going to be receiving those inputs. Does that make sense? I think that's what I need to do if I want to use GUI input to collect these events the way that I'm trying to have it behave like a GUI element, even though it's not technically one of the prefabbed GUI things in Godot. I don't know if I'm making sense. I feel like I'm making sense. Or I feel like this is making sense. So now here, yeah, I can press the buttons on the joypad right now, on the D-pad, for instance, and it's printing them out. And the difference, the only real difference that I can see is that there is, let me stop the scene here. There is, in battle staging, this is what's loading before that other one that we're trying to work on. It's got a VBox container, and then inside of the actor HBox, it's got a bunch of instantiated other control elements. And so there's things for it to like essentially try and talk to, right? So I wonder if I can cheat right now and just throw something in here with nothing in it. And let me just put in, we'll put in a VBox. And just, we won't put anything in the VBox. And then we'll double check and see. Move. Nothing. But we are getting the mouse motions. So if we look here at the scene tree and we look at this one, it is currently not visible. Well, I don't want to, because as I've learned more about the way that Godot collects input events, I don't want to do that if I can avoid it. So this is visible. And it's got this. Let's uncheck that and see. No. And there's the VBox container. All right, let me double check the call deferred. Ready. So we do have grab focus here. Let's go back over here. And we are calling grab focus. Maybe before we set ourselves to be not visible. No, but it's not. But you can grab focus manually with this, the function. Grab focus. Right. And you can do that too. Because, like, for instance, if I choose this and I've got this menu that I pop up, this is a pop-up. I can cycle through the options in this pop-up using, for free. Godot is doing this for me. I can cycle through those options using the D-pad up and down. So I'm wondering if, because yeah, I mean, initially I can get it going that way. But now that I know that input is above GUI input and unhandled is after GUI input, I want this to be a GUI action, in like the strict sense. All right, let's do some quick reading here, because there's something user interface. Godot sends events to the scene's root first by calling node input. We know that. Forwards the event down the node tree to the nodes underneath the mouse, under the mouse cursor or on the keyboard focus. Under the mouse cursor or on the keyboard focus. To do so, it calls the main loop input event and call accept input, so another node receives this event. Once you accept an input, it becomes handled, so node unhandled input will not process it. Okay, I've already messed around with that stuff. I get that. Only one control node can be in keyboard focus. Only the node in focus will receive keyboard events. To get the focus, call grab focus. Control nodes lose focus when another node grabs it, or if you hide the node in focus. So I think what's going on is the node that we're trying to switch over to doesn't have the focus. Right, that's what I'm thinking. We're calling it here. But the confusing thing is that it is getting the mouse input events. Right. But I know that visible and in focus. Right, so that's what I've got here. I'm setting it to visible, and I'm grabbing focus. I did change the order just to test this. You need an idle frame for visible to be true. Right, so we could, well then what we could do then, before you can call grab focus. Okay, so then we could say yield cursor control, comma, signal. Is it idle? Let's check scene tree. It's on scene tree, right? Let's see. Second, it will try and feed the input to GUI to see if any control can receive it. If so, the control will be called via the virtual function. Yeah, okay. So perhaps the control of yours cannot receive it. That's what I think is going on. So if Casper's right, then we need to yield for an idle frame. So what's it called? Idle? Idle frame. Okay, so we'll yield for an idle frame. And then we'll call grab focus on the control. Is that how you do that? I don't know if I have the syntax right here. Which is visible to be processed before the focus can be grabbed. Yeah, so we're setting the focus to the visible to true. We're yielding for an idle frame, and then we're calling grab focus. And just to be safe, we're going to do this after that signal goes. Okay, then we choose move. Error connecting to idle frame during yield. What did I do wrong? Do I need to go like this? How do we yield idle frame? Let's see, Godot. Yield idle frame. I know I'm getting the... Oh, I got to get tree. Okay, it's from the tree that I get the idle frame, not from... Okay, that's my problem. Okay, so it's not that. It's that I'm calling it on this. So from the tree, we'll wait for an idle frame, then we'll grab focus. Okay, so here we go. Now we'll choose move. And then nothing. It's still getting the mouse. So... Yeah. How about, you know what I'll do? Since I can at least spit out a few of the, I can spit out the mouse input events. Let me see the focus. Let me see if this thing has focus or not. So we at least narrow that out of the equation of what's going on here. Focus. There's grab focus. How can we tell if it has focus? There is focus mode. The focus, all, none, click, or all. Only one control can be focused at the same time. Oh, no problem, no problem. Don't worry about it. It's my crappy internet that's causing the delay. Okay, so focus mode. So focus mode is none right now. Let's change it to all. And actually, I'm going to go check battle staging here, and let's see what focus says here. Focus says here all. So maybe that's what it is. Because maybe it's to collect all inputs, not just click or... Okay, so let's see. Maybe this was it. And so maybe we don't have to do a lot of the... No, trust me. I just got... You know what? I got the worst... It's the worst internet. Oh, hit the wrong button. I need to get this process of testing this. I need to just have random characters added to this scene so I can get in here right away. There we go. Okay, now we got it. We got it, boys. So that was it. So for future reference, what was going on here is we have this control thing here, but if we want to collect, let's read up on this just so we understand this. So it's focus mode. So focus mode, and it's got that enumerator. Yeah, that's hiatus. Thank you very much. So there's focus none. The node cannot grab focus. So that was our problem. I couldn't grab the focus. Then there's focus click. The node can only grab focus on mouse clicks. That makes sense, depending on the kind of thing. And then focus all. The node can grab focus on mouse click or using the arrows and the tab keys on the keyboard. So I needed to have some sort of focus mode, and it all makes sense because with none I couldn't grab focus. 25 seconds. Holy crap. I used to has to guess enemy movements 25 seconds in advance. That's some leet stuff right there. Is that something the kids say? Do they say leet? Am I old? Do the kids say leet? Okay, so let's get rid of this yield because I don't think we need it. And let's just see if it works without that yield. And I'm gonna give a little bit of breathing room between that and that. And we'll run this again. Yeah, and it makes sense. Like if you've got or if you've got a window and you want to click drag, you know, like then it makes sense that you wouldn't like it necessarily wouldn't. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so we're good. And then visible true. Okay. All right, so the way that this handoff is happening, I'm not sure about. I'm not sure that I like it. The other problem that we're currently having is that I have some translation going on for the camera and where the cursor is. And presently, we're not aligned properly. So the buttons are backwards for how I'd expect the cursor to be moving around. So I've got to get that squared away as well. But now we're not bleeding over the highlighted area. So now what we need to work on is getting us to select a spot, checking to see if it's within our accepted area where the player can move. And if it is, then move the player to that location. And there's like 100 other things that I can tell are not right that I need to fix as well. Not really that many, but look at that alignment. That is freaking perfect. That is perfect. That's pixel perfect right there. Look at that. That is beautiful. So if you're ever doing isometric, if you're doing orthogonal projection in a 3D game and you want isometric, here's the missing link. Yeah, that's happening already, but it's establishing its starting location incorrectly, so I got to fix that. So right now it's working fine. For instance, here, like it's totally going. Well, now the cursor's not going to show up because of the stuff I'm changing, but it works fine here. But you'll notice that, well, maybe you won't. The player here is starting in a different spot from the angle of the camera on the previous screen. So that's what's wrong there. So I just need to tell the cursor where the camera has started, what angle the camera has started at, and that should fix that problem. But yeah, if you're doing orthogonal projection, and let me show you. So on our stage we have the camera gimbal here, and so where is it? Is it here? The camera itself. So if you want to do isometric, this is the angle that you need to be pointing the camera down at in order to get all of the right sides to be correct for isometric for an isometric projection for the an orthogonal projection that is isometric. Oh my gosh, that's a mouthful. Okay, so that's the magic ticket though. There, that's the magic angle is 30 or degrees, 35.264. And then Final Fantasy Tactics actually doesn't use isometric. It uses something else. Diedetric, isometric wiki. There's another one. on the X. Yeah. So yeah, so the camera rotation has to be 45 degrees, and then yeah, this angle here, 35.264 degrees for it facing downwards. Dimetric. So tactics is actually dimetric projection. So it's not quite. Here we go. This is a good graph here. This is what tactics uses. So dimetric is slightly different than isometric. Isometric being that it has 30 degrees angle on a square edge, and then dimetric is slightly different angle. I'd have to look it up again, but right now we're using isometric. But I believe that tactics by default is dimetric, and then you can raise the camera up, raise it up, and then that's dimetric. Or it's isometric when it's doing that. Yeah. Anyways. Okay, so yeah, so the camera is, and this is a suggestion from Obsidian BLK. If you guys aren't following him, 45 to 60 degree angle. Yeah. So essentially the camera is in its own spatial, and then we rotate that spatial. So the board itself is never rotating. It's the camera that's rotating around it. And so it makes a lot of the other stuff real simple because of that. So it's like a gimbal lock, or not gimbal lock, but it's like locking on an axis, and then we're just spinning around that. And then what makes that really nice is on the camera side, whenever we want to focus on an element, we just set the camera's 0 position to that element's position in its space, and then the camera just is automatically centered on that element perfectly. Another thing I have to set up. It's there. I just don't have it set up. But it's ready for it basically. So a lot of this stuff has been figured out. Like we got a lot of this stuff figured out. Like the scripting and all that stuff. That's all. I've all done that work to go, yes, it can be done. It is possible. But it's just like gluing it, like I said, gluing it together. Okay, so what we're doing is we're taking this movable locations, which is the dictionary of and I don't think that we need it to be a dictionary, but anyways, it's a dictionary of locations of I really don't think we need it to be a dictionary, but anyways, we give it the current actor's position and the move amount that they have. It calculates that grid that we see that is the move space. And then we emit a signal, choose move to movable locations. That says on the cursor control here, it passes, this set's visible to true. Can we grab focus that way too? Hang on. I did some of this already. So we don't need this here. If we emit the signal here, give me a second. Then we can do this. We can grab focus here. There we go. That's better. Okay. Anyways, what was I saying? Okay, so we're grabbing focus. We're setting our movable locations to that. So now this menu has those sets of coordinates in it saying these are the places that the player could select that will be okay for the actor to move to, right? The current actor is on a global. It's out in a singleton for combat. So now what we need to do is we need to say when the do make sure that works. I will. I did yesterday. So now when the character chooses the spot that we want, this is where we need to go in and run an algorithm. It's not really an algorithm. It's just a loop. We're just going to run a loop and say, hey, is this location in our in our move locations. And if it is, then we go, okay, now tell tell the actor to move there, I suppose, and then dismiss the menu as well, right? So okay, so well, let's see what we have when we what this is. I don't know why it's in a dictionary. That's confusing me because oh, okay. So there's a few things we need to grab. So from the grid map, we need to get the cursor location. So let's... Yes, please. I know I could be faster. I used to be on Emacs and I could whip around in that, but I switched over to VS Code because my Mac crashed. Yes, I was on Mac. You can make fun of me, I guess. There's a way to whip around in the functions, right? So tactics, it's cursor position, and then we have movable locations. Let's print those out when we select. Select the line, hold Alt. So it's not Control. Oh. I see what you're saying. There's a way to go around in the... I have a printout for VS Code. There's a way to hop around to the other functions faster that I need to practice doing. Okay, so now let's just move the cursor someplace. And then choose. Okay. So 3-1, and is that in here? It is. Okay. What are these numbers? What are these numbers about? 4, 3. Oh, those are the heights. That's right. That's how I set that up. So I could look them up easy. Then all I need to do here then is movable locations, cursor position. So I could say, I guess I could do this with a function too. But I could just say, if movable locations, or we could say if cursor position is in movable locations, we could say this is okay. So if it's in there, then we can. If it's not, then we can't. Else print pick another spot dummy. And then here it would be combat actor, and then we would say, or it'd be combat current actor, and then we say something to it. Move to location or something. But that's the resource, not the sprite, which is an instance thing that's separate than that. So how do we set it up so we can talk to that easily? So if we look at the stage, tactics, there's our sprite for our character, right? So that's coming from when is the grid map doing that? Let's see, stage grid map, set grid map. No. Oh, that's battle staging. No wonder I was so confused. Here we go. So we have a lookup for our sprite in the stage that has, so it's a dictionary that's a reference to the resource that points to the sprite. So I think the sprite should I think what we should do is connect signals from the resource when events occur to the sprite. So like for instance, if the sprite is hit, if the resource is hit, then the sprite can go, oh, I've been hit. I'm going to animate that, right? And then the same for move. Oh, I'm going to move from, I'm going to move to this location. My position's going to change to here. Okay, I need to animate that. And so that could be, those can be signals from the resource to this that the sprite will connect to. Yeah, I think that's how I'm going to set that up. All right, I'm going to go. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go to the restroom and grab a drink, and then we're just going to continue on. If you guys are still here from the raid, I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here, and I shall be right back. All right. We're back. Let's see what we can do. So what's everyone working on? I presume that you guys are doing game dev too. What kind of stuff are you guys working on? I'm really jealous. Someone just drops in my stream, raids me, and it's like, I got fiber, peace. I'm like, what? No. What about me? I want fiber. Okay, so we're talking about signals and the actor resource, and so that's what we're working on. That's what we're going to be doing now. So we select a spot. We know the spot is a valid place that the actor can move to. Now we tell the actor, hey, move to this, go here. So let's look at our resource for our actor. Yeah. So our data model actor. Okay. So this is intense, guys. This is the RPG side of it all right here. So I suppose we can add a signal here and say move. Move to position. Okay. Can you specify types on signals like this? Can I go like vector 3? I don't think you can. Nah, you can't. This is just like for type hinting. Or not type hinting, but linting. Like it's not really anything. Okay, so we got move to. So now, do we have a way of setting position yet? We have a position. We have set position. So if we set position to value, position equals value. Okay, and then we emit signal quote move to. Let's be a little more loud about it and say position. And we'll give it position. And let's go back up here and change this to move to position. And then we're going to go, I got to get the chat up if people are going to talk. Okay. Nobody's working on anything. Fine. What about art? Music? Dance? Talk to me. You don't have to. No pressure. Current actor position equals cursor position, right? So if we set our current actor position to our cursor position, which we've checked is in a movable location, then the actor says, oh, okay. And it sets its value to that position, but the sprite's not going anywhere, right? So then we emit a signal, 7 seconds latency to you. Nice. How can you tell before you say anything? Oh, I see. When you drop a frame on your side on your internet, you get further behind from me. I gotcha. You guys want to see something really cool though? I'm gonna check it on OBS when I do this because I'm using advanced scene switcher in OBS, right? And I'm finally getting an understanding of it. So now if I turn on, I've got my switch here. If I turn it on, it should detect the input and then just show it in the corner over there. Wait, there. Maybe. If it sees it. Is it not going to see it? It's not going to see it. So I'm a liar. I'm a big fat liar. I'm a big poopy pants. It's not going to do it. Oh, it's because I moved it over. I moved it back to my PS TV. So now I'm going to turn on my PS TV, which has Tactics running on it. And I use that for testing on the stream. That's why I have this set up. And now it should appear over there. And don't make me a liar. There it goes. Yeah. Why am I here? Just to suffer? Oh, but the monitor's unplugged right now because I was playing the Switch with my daughter on the stream. Give me a second. I gotta go plug it in. Oh, yeah. My arm. Sometimes I still feel it. Can't you? Oh no, the stream is dying. Okay, it's back. I don't know what happened there. I had a big hiccup on my internet. I may have reacted a little harshly on the chat there. Okay, so, and the sound is going to be a little high on the volume of the OBS, so let me fix that too. Or on El Gato. All right, there we go. Now, let's get the TV on so I can actually see the game. There we go. Oh, now I turn this TV off. I feel like a lunatic here. Okay. Okay, so when the position is set, we send out a signal called... where is it? Can I get that? There we go. I'm gonna move the chat over here because now I'm not trusting my OBS and my internet connection. So I just want to make sure. So after now, honestly, being here for the first time, can I expect a lunatic every time I join? Pretty much so. Pretty much so. I don't have any follow notifications going on right now, so if you follow me, I appreciate it. My OBS, I updated it with the new version, and I lost all my settings, and I've been slowly re-adding them back in. Newer, better, stronger, though. Into the... oh, that's going over to the other TV. Jeez, man. Now the other TV doesn't have it. Hang on. Yes. Colin is correct. I got a subscription. Thank you, Prophet Pigeon. Thank you. I did see that. I do see that, but I don't have the like fancy like thank you and then like some meme thing happens and music or something. I don't have that right now. So, but I appreciate that. I see that. Thank you so much. I don't know. So, is that coming out of your pocket? Cuz if so, what are you doing? All right, so now I got the controller set up here and we got a little mini Tactics in the corner there with some I guess some themed music going on here. But check this out. This is okay. I'm gonna get back to programming here. I promise. But I'm gonna turn off the PSTV, and then for a second here, it's gonna go black. Then Elgato is gonna say it's got no signal, and then Advanced Scene Switcher is looking for that image, and the minute it sees that image, it turns off the picture-in-picture thing that I have over there, which is super cool. No, I just stole it from a homeless guy next door. F him, I guess. Well, anyways, I appreciate it. And yeah, F that homeless guy. No. Okay. So here's where the signal comes from. We need something here. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to just do pass on this else statement, and then we'll write a to do here and say, we need to have a pop-up for saying the spot is invalid. Colin's like, what? It was Prophet. He made me say it. Now that now that he's subscribed, I have to bend my my personality to match his whims. I'm kidding. Prophet's just there. He's just like, dance, puppet. Say something awful about this other group of people. Or a flashing X on the spot. Yeah, that might be a better like accessibility way to communicate that too. And it's less to have like if we're going to do translated stuff. Which, oh my goodness, have you guys done any language stuff in Godot? I started looking into it. I at my old job, I worked at a biotech company as the web guy, and whatever made up position you want to give it that makes people feel special. But yeah, like I used getText at that job, and it was on a PHP backend. But it looks like Godot supports getText. So I'm pretty familiar with that. Godot Manager with Linux and a getText translation. Yeah. So I have some questions about that. I haven't gotten into it too much, but how does it detect what's strings to add to the list to be translated for getText? Do you in Godot, do you do a special kind of like thing to make that string be a part of the list for getText? Or I guess that's my question, is what is it looking for? Because in PHP it was like an underscore and then two brackets, and then the string would be inside that. Without a joke, I love to support people who are present and show software development. That's cool. I really appreciate it though. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why people do that, but I appreciate it. You can use PyBabel to extract the strings, and Godot has an internal function called tr. Okay, let me look that up really quick. I just want to look this up just so so that would be in GD script, right? Oh my God, now he's throwing GIFs out. What the hell's going on? Thank you. What is going on right now? It's TR. Okay. I don't see it here. Is it on the string level? So let's look up string. Oh, STR. Yeah, we're really going at it. So it looks for STR. Is that what you're saying? Let me look up string and see if there's TR in that. Because that's a data type, right? Is there TR here? To ASCII, to float, to int. I don't see TR here. Maybe it's STR. Is that what you're... Okay. TR is for translations. Oh, okay, so when I add that element into it, that's when I get TR. When you were talking about... Let me look it up here on the... Language translation. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. That's really good to know. Okay. Yeah, we're busy here, Frozen. All right, so we're working on... So we're going to have a pop-up here. We're sending out a signal from actor. So now we need a clean way of connecting localization stuff. Let me open this up. Don't be porn. Don't be porn. Okay, we're clear. We're good. Okay. Yeah, I have a local copy of the Godot docs on my computer just because I find it I can search it much faster than the website. Because Godot's getting pretty popular right now, and their website kind of chokes a little bit. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna reference this later on. Localization using get text. Yeah, because I'm pretty familiar with it, but I wanna once we start working on the actual game proper, I want to be ready for localization immediately. Because better right away instead of later. Oh, there's a GitHub. Okay. We'll look at that too. Put that on there. Thank you. Okay. So back to here. When the stage is first... so what goes on here is... When you're at the battle staging area, that's when you're selecting the characters that are going... The actors... Sorry, I've got to get the verbs right that I'm using. The actors... Why is it... Sorry. There we go. I promise I'm going to stop switching over to that. The actors that you select are passed over, and then we tell it to load the actual stage itself. That's what's happening here. The game, there's a game singleton that handles that handoff between the scenes. Then we load, I have full instructions for setting up and extracting strings from a project into a pot to set up translations for. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, no, we internationalized the website that I was at. And to Chinese and a couple other major languages that we were trying to get going. It was really interesting dealing with things like numbers and quantities and stuff like that, because every language kind of, especially with amounts, like a lot of language will change the order, the order of certain things, and even based on certain quantities. Once you get to a certain quantity, then sometimes it'll switch. So it's kind of a nightmare for certain things, not to mention like left to right, and then just like the order, all of that stuff. And then on top of that, when you're doing a website, what's the best way for SEO to have the other language version of the website? This was back in like early aughts, so things are probably different now. But anyways, okay. So then we're gonna stop doing this soon because we're ripping out. This is for the highlighting stuff. We're ripping out the grid map from the game singleton because it's living now as a child in here, and that's what's happening here. It's adding that stage. The stage itself then sets up all of the cursor stuff. The stage is responsible for the stage proper. Well, I'm calling a stage where the battle takes place. Let's say. But also like cutscenes and everything. That's what handles the cursor stuff now. Godot 4 is supporting localization. Go back. It's supposed to support localization a lot easier. Nice. Yeah, I've said before on stream, I'm waiting for 4.1 before we really get into it before I make the change. But I am extremely excited about a lot of things, especially types. Being able to set types in arrays, like type-specific arrays in dictionaries, and even like vector 2s and 3s you can say to be integer only, which is really cool. So that kind of stuff I'm really looking forward to. And then whatever, there's probably a bunch of other stuff that is just a lot better that I'm not even paying attention to. Okay, so what I'm saying though is we have this actor sprite. So for every actor in the scene, when the scene starts, we go through all the actors that are in the combat singleton that have been added to that. That's what happens when you go between the battle staging area and to the actual battle proper. Those actors are added to the combat singleton, and those actors are references. They are resources. They're resources. Then this goes through and creates instances of sprites to represent those resources as like images on the screen, right? So what I'm saying is now I need to set up a way to register, to connect some of the resources signals to this sprite so that it can then respond to it. Now, there's one element that, and that is on movement, because we don't want to move the sprites, and it's a sprite, it's a 3D sprite. So let's open it. Not in here. Game actor. Here we go. So yeah, right now it's just add actor. And we're not even using that anymore. So what I probably don't want to do is move. I actually can't right now because it's not a. Like if I were to, let me get the words out. If we to change the position of this sprite 3D inside of itself, I guess, I don't know how else to put it. See, now it's somewhere else, right? Is that good, or should I change it in? And is it any different than change, since I don't have a spatial or anything that it's inheriting? All right, we're going for it. I'm just gonna go for the gusto here, and let's move the. So here's the actor code here. So what we need is. I'm almost thinking we don't need to have, if we're using signals exclusively, in this add actor function, this is where we can connect the signals. So then we would say actor.connect, and let's look at our actor. We'll bring it down here. Let's look at our actor resource, and it's called move to position. So we're going to connect move to position on self, and might as well call the function the same name, and we'll say, okay, so we've connected our first signal. If this is a resource, let's be explicit here. So we'll say resource, and we're going to return nothing on this. I guess we could return a bool if something goes wrong. I'm planning on starting using Godot 4 after I get a few bugs fixed for my current release of Godot Manager. It'll be a complete ground-up rewrite of the code base. Godot Manager, what's that? That sounds familiar. Have you been here before? Did you show me a tool in Godot to like, it was something that would kind of supplement the managing this stuff here, like doing the file system Did you have something? Am I... Maybe I'm... Have you been here before? Why is it not autofilling? It's not smart enough to know. Okay, so move to position. New position. Let's just say value. Value. And then it's going to be a vector 3. And we'll return void. And okay. So this is where we can fire off some sort of animation for the movement. Shoot. Sorry, guys. I keep thinking of all of this stuff. It's driving me crazy. Because maybe the grid map should be... Maybe the grid map should be out there somewhere. The reason why I think that is because... if we were to... Let me go like this. Pass. So if we're to move our character, right, and we pick a spot up here on this ledge, right, we need to have the animation go per each. Oh my God, we need to have access to the flood fill information, because we'll use that to determine the path that it'll take to go in that direction too. Okay, so maybe the flood fill info should be on the actor. Every time I think, oh, now that's going to happen, I blow my mind again. Okay. The flood fill data should be on the actor resource. When the move happens, when this happens, when it paints when we're creating the space that the actor can move on to, we need to store that information in the resource, because then we can use that information from the resource okay, so we need a variable here called actor. This is really redundant, actor, but it's going to only be handled inside of itself. Actor resource. Value, since it's only one thing. And then we say actor equals value. Okay. Add actor, so texture equals actor, current job, sprites. Okay. Sorry. So the flood fill data, the data with the numbers, right, of like the order of the steps, basically. If we have that on the actor side, then when the signal happens to move, then we can grab from the sprite will know the actor resource that sent a signal, and then it can say, okay, get me what's your positional data, where are we heading to, and then it can look at that array and go, okay, this is the order of the steps that I should take to get there. So now I got to move that crap. Oh man. Okay, but we're getting there. I mean, and then we can animate, then we can tween between each point and go like, okay, now move here and play these frames, and then move here, and then when it gets to this point here, like for instance, and it's going to know, oh, this is high up, so I need to fire the jump animation to go up and over, right? So we can make that look, it can be rational movement within the space where it makes sense. Right now, also, when we're rotating the camera, we're not presently, we're not properly rotating the sprite as well. Like it's always showing the same fixed angle. Oh, Colin, are you here? I had something I wanted to run by you as an idea for graphically to present some things. I guess I could run it by everybody. So my idea for the presentation of the game, I'll show you guys really quick. Final Fantasy. There was a promotional material that came out for Tactics. Japanese guide. The Japanese guide cover is my inspiration for the look that I want the game to have eventually once we're to that point. So the guide cover is, I love it. And it's got this little diorama looking thing. This is the first battle in Tactics. The Orban Monastery. And they got this little chick on it. But it has a real papercraft look to it. And watercolor. Everything looks like it's watercolored. And so this is the look that I want the game to feel like it has. Is that everything is from papercraft. It's folded paper. So my idea for character presentation, the way that the character will look on the screen, is to have it appear to be a piece of folded paper that's upright. If you've ever seen Box Peak from Easy Allies, which is a really deep cut, I guess, depending on the kind of nerd you are. But if it looks like it's a piece of folded paper on the game, and then as the camera rotates to indicate direction, the piece of that thing will always be facing there, but you'll see it as paper. Like the camera will rotate, and then the back of the character, so it'll be animated on the paper, but the paper, when it rotates, it'll show the back of the animation. Because I want it to have like a diorama, like you went to a museum and you're looking at a famous battle being recreated. Does that make sense? So that's ultimately that's the look that I want the game to have once we're to that point. That's my vision for it. My vision board. And let me check it out. Casper, I'll check out what you sent. Let me get that on here. Godot Manager is an engine version of project management utility, streamlining the Godot development experiment. Godot Manager supports a sorted list of features from categorizations. Man, I'm running out of energy. Categorization of your projects, associating your projects with specific versions of Godot, as well as downloading templates and plugins that can be used for creating new projects. Let's look at some pics. Oh. This is like the missing link for... This brings some things that Unity has into Godot. That's impressive stuff. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to put this up here too. That's awesome stuff. Okay, well, in the meantime, move to position is going to return position, which is, I want to make sure it's a vec3. It should be. Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're just going to do a hard break just to make sure we're actually, that the signal is firing properly. Everything's working how we're expecting it to. So let's run this again and start up a scene here. Choose move, and we need to have a space inside here. Select it. Oops. Okay, so we're not hitting breakpoint. So let's go over to... It might be the if statement. So we're doing this test here. Player choose. Is in. So it's looking at values, not keys. So we need to make these the keys of the dictionary. So var what we can do is say in movable locations keys. So that's part of our problem. So we're checking the keys in an array of the keys for the cursor position in it. And if we are, we set the current actor's position to our cursor position. And then the signal should be connected. And that gets fired from here. And then this should hit. Okay, let's see if that does it. And I want to keep the love going. So once we get this breakpoint, we're going to end it here. And if you guys have any recommendations for somebody I should raid, please let me know who. Oops, wrong button. Still nothing. Okay. Let's see that we're hitting this. And we'll do the test here too. Print this. And we'll see what we get. Random battles. Bring it in. Move. Ah! True. So it is setting. Okay, it is detecting it as true. So maybe we're not using add actor. That's what it was. Okay. So we need to bring that back into. This guy's a lunatic. What is he even doing? Everyone who's watching right now, they're like, what is he doing? Okay, so actor sprite, if we do add actor, and then we choose actor, and we should be able to get rid of this. And this is interesting here. This is what's going to kind of mess some things up, because we are setting the transform to the actor position. And so this can move. This can move to yeah, we can change where that's happening. But we're not going to do that just yet. Okay, so now if we save, if this is set up right, now we should be closer. Come on. So there's our actor. Move. Select our spot. Yes. Okay. All right. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So we're going good. I'm going to keep these windows open. A couple people have sent me some cool stuff to look at, so I'm going to be doing that as well. Let's find somebody to raid here really quick. I want to thank everybody for hanging out. I kind of want to keep going though. I don't know. But it's coming along. It's coming along. So Peroganon is a really cool guy. He's doing some interesting software in Godot. So we might want to raid him. And what am I doing going to games? You can see that I have tactics as one of my favorites. I'm always watching people playing that just to see what people like about it. So let's search Godot. And road-like deck builder game. Here we go. That sounds cool. Yeah, we'll do a raid on Tapper 2342. So just make sure they're not nude. And we're going to get an ad. Okay. So thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out. I really appreciate it. The subs and the follows and all that stuff. Let me just go down the list here. Because, again, I don't have my notifications going right now, so I don't see who follows me live. Casper, thank you. Prophet, thank you so much for the subs. And, yeah, I'll be on here tomorrow, same time. I'm going to start the streams now with a little early, I'm going to be playing a little game. I'm going to be playing video games with my daughter before my stream actually starts now. And so... thanks, hella decent. And yeah. So I'll be starting the streams out with a little bit of about 45 minutes of playing games with my daughter on stream.
You slow down your opponent
and then we'll get into the actual game dev stuff. So that'll be like the equivalent of like a countdown, like the stream's going to begin, but I'll actually just be playing a game with my daughter. So, cause I want to get started earlier on the streams, but it's kind of hard cause she wants to play games with me after her class and everything. So cool. Anyways, yeah. See you guys tomorrow. Hopefully. So, peace. Once the raid finishes, and then I'll say bye.
Oh, by the
Much
way,
love to everybody as well as always.
We need that gossip now, like this Norwegian guy.
This is an interesting window layout here.
Are they a couple?
When is the raid gonna happen? Is there a way I can force it to happen sooner? I don't know.
Like, he said they're just friends, and then he like streamed, and then she streamed, and he like came in through the door. So he streamed like next door for hours.
Is it not going to do it? I don't know. I don't know why the raid isn't happening.
Or it was pre-recorded.
Let me do it here. All right, guys.
Hey, Crit.
Hey, we did it.
What up, dog?